Commentary Booth is a show for media lovers by media lovers just like you. If you want to support the show, go to pariomagazine.com.au. Welcome to the Commentary Booth, where we watch, and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator, Jamie Apps, and each week I'll be joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by a teacher and travel blogger who lists their favourite movie as Fight Club and favourite TV show as Band of Brothers. Welcome back to the show, Buddy McClelland.
Thank you for having me. I think I need to change the favourite movie. I just saw Top Gun Maverick. Blew me out of my seat. Oh my God. That's
a totally fair call to change the favourite movie.
Yeah, anyone wants to come and watch it a million times with me, I'll go back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I went and saw it at the Roxy with Adam and his dad. That was fun.
Now, you want like VFX, you don't want like the Roxy 1965 speakers.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone this week that there's a 4D style cinema in Sydney.
Oh yeah.
Which is apparently
like rattles and stuff.
Yeah, seat moves around, blows wind in your face. I was like, now that sounds like an experience, especially for like a second or third watch of Top Gun.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be good. I feel like I might throw the vomit in your face from like every time they pull 9Gs and try not to die.
You just pass out like a couple of times halfway through the movie.
It's amazing that like they had the actors in there doing all of that.
Yeah, apparently that was one of Tom Cruise's requirements. If we're going to make this movie, everyone has to get in the actual cockpit and film their scenes in the cockpit. None of this filming on a set. Green screen.
Yeah, and they said 5 out of if they had 10 pilots, 5 out of them didn't throw up, and the other 5 threw up every single time.
Every single time, yeah.
It's a tough deal.
At least, like, they can't say they didn't earn their money for that movie.
Like, no, but I mean, it would have been part of it. Like, you'll never forget it.
Yeah, like, it would have been super fun to, like, get the opportunity to sit in those planes. But then if you're throwing up every single time and you're probably filming for like 2 or 3 months, you're just like, I'm over this.
It would be hard to look cool and throw up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one looks cool throwing up.
No. So what else has been happening? It feels like it's been ages since we spoke. When did we last talk?
Oh,
I think
a little while
ago. Pre-holiday.
Pre-holiday? Pre you having COVID?
No, we spoke after I had COVID, didn't we?
Oh, did we? I feel like that was right before your holiday.
No, it was after, because I watched Make or Break whilst I had COVID.
There you go. All right.
So we definitely spoke.
Glad you came back from your holiday.
Yes. Went on my Dreamliner.
It's just been raining. It's been raining.
Yeah, a lot of rain. I think I left the country, it stopped raining for a bit, and then I came back and it started raining again, so whoops.
It's a nightmare. I don't feel so bad when I take the dog for a walk now, though, and I let it like drink from the tap and heaps of water comes out. Like me from the 2000s or whatever, we're on like level 7 water restrictions and you had to catch the water in the shower and stuff, and now it's just like, get rid of it, we've got too much.
Yeah, that's when everyone complains about like them not releasing the water from Warragamba Dam earlier. I'm like, remember, we were about to run out of water restrictions. So
yeah.
they don't just want to empty it out in the hopes that it's going to rain and then it not rain, and then we're like, oh, well, guess what? We're on water restrictions in the middle of winter.
Yeah, it's just typical Australia. You can't have just one or the other. Like, it's got to be all out drought, all out fires, all out floods. Telling you, the plague will come and that's it, redemption.
We had the plague. COVID hit.
We had the plague. Locusts then. I guess, is it locusts?
Yeah, I think locusts. Locust is another one, or frogs or something.
Locusts come, everybody yells bingo, and then the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse arrive. That's what's going to happen.
God, now you're tempting fate. Okay, let's not tempt any more disasters on the world.
Okay.
So this week we are looking at people that are supposed to be good guys who actually turn out to be evil at heart. when we review season 3 of The Boys on Prime Video and then discuss the Netflix documentary Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey. Starting with The Boys season 3, what did you think of this season as a whole?
I really, really liked it. I mean, I'm not going to give away the ending. The last episode left me a little disappointed, probably, after how good the rest of the season was, though. So I really, really enjoyed it. I really like his 8-hour-long episodes, so you get a lot out of it, which I really enjoyed. And me being, I think we've talked about this before, but me being a Supernatural fan, I love the nods to Bobby Singer, he's running for president. I loved watching Jensen Ackles come back. He does look like he hasn't aged, like Soldier Boy. Like I don't know how Jensen Ackles from early 2000s Supernatural still looks the same as Jensen Ackles Soldier Boy. I guess all the facial hair they stuck on him hides the wrinkles or something.
Yeah, but I guess
he's doing well for however much older he has become, and I thought he played the character really well. And I think it's like, you know what you're going to get with The Boys at this point. Like, I've been the guy out there that has been trying to tell all my friends that haven't seen it to start watching it. They don't promote it as heavily as what I probably think they should for a show that is probably the best show on Prime as far as I'm concerned. But in saying that, I think when you get into the first episode, and I mean, like, I'm a school teacher, so I can't go into gory details of like all the very insane Seth Rogen crazy crap that happens. But once you see people exploding and having weird encounters and all the rest of it, I think, it's very much, you know what you're in for, and they don't disappoint you all season.
Yeah, I was like you. I think they would have been better served to end on episode 7 with the big like reveal that happens in that episode. I think that would have been a better cliffhanger for season 4, which it's been renewed for. But like you're saying, like, you kind of know what you're going to get in The Boys, yet somehow they still shock you.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I took a photo of one of the like this, the South Park warning that they do at the start of every episode. But I started to notice that in The Boys, the warnings pre-episode changed each time. And there's one particular episode that I think it's called Herogasm that you probably remember. The warning at the start of that one, you ready for it? Some scenes may not be suitable for some, really most, let's be honest, all viewers. But rest assured that any consensual relationships depicted, be they human, animal, superhero, or other, aren't real, harm no one, and in fact cost a hilariously large amount in visual effects.
Yeah.
When they have a warning like that at the start of a show, you've got to know what you're in for.
Yeah, I found that episode pretty good. It didn't quite, I feel like they might have hyped it up a little bit too much, but it was still a crazy episode. But I think the thing that shocked me the most was the very first episode. Like, that opening sequence with Termite, the superhero Termite.
Yeah, I remember it.
Wow. Holy dolly.
Yeah, I mean, they did have a lot of the same stuff, but then it felt to me this season, because I know I've never, obviously, I don't know if you've ever looked at them, but I've never read the comics that they're based off of. But it felt that this season they made a big effort to link into a lot of current day issues and current day topics. Like Bobby Singer and the way that Homeland is operating with the media and everything like that is obviously a massive nod to Trump. And politicizing the whole thing, but in the version of chaotic superheroes, which is kind of scary considering it makes sense in both levels that people treat Trump like Homelander. I thought there was a funny part where A-Train did the knockoff Kendall Jenner Pepsi ad and took her out on that. So, I mean, there's a lot of nods to current day issues, I think, that were just good to watch. And yeah, you could see there's a lot of inside jokes there that were easy to get.
Yeah, and like you mentioned South Park, like that's those sort of elements where they were bringing in current affairs and current topics. I was like, this is very South Park, which is crazy considering as like, this isn't like a South Park where they create an episode, like a half-hour episode in a week. Like, this is a whole season that was filmed months ago.
Yeah, but they pick topics that last a long time, I guess, or that have lasted a long time. Like, it's sadly enough, racism as a topic and all that stuff that goes along with it is probably going to be there for quite a while. So yeah, they're not going to miss their mark. But yeah, I think they did really well of it. And watching it just made me laugh every time, though. That I've forgotten his name, Anthony Starr, the actor that plays Homelander. It just cracks me up that they play him as Trump, and then he's got his big American flag cape on and all the rest of it, but he's actually from New Zealand, like the most American character you could ever be, and he's not American.
He's not even an American actor.
Not even
but
close.
I will give like props to him. Like, he has to be one of the most terrifying and like stress-inducing villains I've seen on TV in such a long time. Like, every time, like even when he's having little breakdowns himself, you're like, he's gonna snap and just murder everyone.
Yeah, he does it well. I think I would probably liken people to Joffrey out of Game of Thrones, the little creepy king guy before, but I think you know that when you are hating somebody on screen, that the actor himself is doing a fantastic job. And oh man, I just want Homelander dead, buried, and gone, because he's evil, like proper evil. So it's he plays it well, and he plays it'd be a hard character to play in terms of how manipulative he has to be outside of that, and his dealings with the media and dealings with different characters, and his son obviously is a big part of this season. So yeah, he plays it really well.
Yeah, as an actor, like there's so many levels to that character where you have to be this cheesy, happy-go-lucky guy, and then on a switch, just flick to evil, manipulative guy that's yelling at Ashley to take her wig off. And it's that was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Murdering his best friends and stuff. Like, oh.
Yeah, but I thought this season did a good job of doing that with more than just Homelander. I think they've already been building into the backstory of Homelander and all the different elements to him. But I thought this season did a good job of doing that with A-Train, obviously. They've delved into him a lot before, but I think with him having his heart issues and obviously wanting to deal with Blue Hawk, which is, again, dealing with the police and the racism in America that caused all the Black Lives Matter movement. So delving into that was really good, I thought. Obviously, Deep having his comeback and having some really creepy moments with multiple octopi, something, whatever the multiple of octopuses is. There was more than one of them. There was way too many tentacles. Him getting delved into, I thought was good. I thought Noir at the end of it, actually seeing the inner workings of Noir's brain and the animations that they had, I thought were brilliant. Like, I really enjoyed that, and I thought it was a different way to take things. So yeah, this season does a good job of building on the characters.
Yeah, it was definitely a much more like character progression season. Like, it was all about building up these people and diving into their backstories a bit more and like how they became the twisted individuals that they are. But then, yeah, like you said, it still like weaves in crazy, violent, gory, sexual elements as well. And then the modern like current storytelling and stuff. Like, I thought it was really good. Like we had a bit of Maeve's like LGBT story last season, but then we got even more this season. And yeah, like we said, Homelander evil, but I think MM's daughter's stepdad, most hated man on TV at the moment. Like, what a jerk, what an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few characters like that. Like, but they do well at twisting. There's a lot of twists and turns in the show. And like I said, I don't want to give away a lot of it, but there's a lot of really good twists and turns that they do. And I think that obviously his character is one of them. But yeah, good show, good season. I'm keen to watch the next one. And like I said to you today, I had to finish it off, but I punched out like 3 hours happily of sitting there just enjoying it. So really good show, really well made. I enjoyed all the cameos. I thought was a really cool thing. Obviously Seth Rogen was probably the biggest and weirdest one of those, which I think he is quite happy to be. But beyond that, I think Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis appeared at one point in a song. I think I can't remember the name of the character, but the older guy that was friends with Soldier Boy, being the old actor off Mad About You. And there's just a lot of different actors that have come in here and just either cameoed or been a part of it. So it's obviously getting bigger as it goes.
Yeah, I had a look at the list of cameos. We had Billy Zane and Charlize Theron in episode 1 when they're like fictionalized versions of themselves playing like Homelander and Queen Maeve in the the 7 movies.
Return of the 7, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yep, we get Seth Rogen playing himself, but also like a
cam guy.
Cam guy, yeah. Sir Comes a Lot 779.
That's right.
Patton Oswalt's in there, Josh Gad, like you said, Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, Elizabeth Banks, Aisha Tyler, and Rose Byrne are all in the what is it, the Hero-gasm like song opener segment. That was, I was watching, I was like, this is so weird, and then I was like, yeah, it's meant to be like a play on Gal Gadot's, like, during COVID made a video like that apparently, right. And I was like, oh, that's a cool little like parody of that. I loved like this season the introduction of Temp V as well, like that added a whole new element and gave Huey a massive story arc to change the dynamic between him and Starlight, where he was kind of like, I love how they were teasing him being like weak at the start of the season, when he could never open the jars at home, and then she was just like pop.
Yeah.
And then once he starts taking the Temp V, we get the switch in dynamics.
Yeah, it did add a really good element to it. And it also gave it an element of, if you could choose to be a superhero in that universe, what would you do? I think, I don't know for you, but me sitting there, I had that moral battle of like, at first you're obviously just an average person. So as a watcher, you're just like, oh, bloody superheroes. Like, I would never do that. Like, I'd be a good superhero, whatever. And who would choose to do that? And then they all of a sudden introduced the part where you could become one. And you're like, maybe I would do that. Like, to go in there and be one.
Maybe for 24 hours, like, yeah, I'd give it a shot.
But I found it quite funny that it didn't let them kind of, you had no choice over what your powers were. You kind of just had to work it out on the spot. And Huey having to teleport naked, I thought it was quite funny.
That was so good. And yeah, like he teleports, but he can't teleport his clothes. It's like,
which always makes sense. It makes me wonder, but then look, it's been a few rainy weeks and I've had to watch a little bit of Time Traveler's Wife. And that is something that he does when he time travels. He always lands wherever he's landing naked. Mm-hmm. So it would be the worst. I think that in that situation as well, I don't know if I'd want that superpower. I thought laser eyes like Cyclops for Billy.
Butcher, yeah.
Butcher, that's it. Yeah. For him to have the Cyclops eyes that obviously clashed with Homelanders was quite cool, but it would be hard. And I think putting down the Temp V and not doing it over and over to become a superhero would also be quite hard. So it was an interesting arc to watch.
Yeah, I feel like if you did it that first time and then were like, oh, my superpower is teleporting, but I end up naked, I'd be like, okay, I don't need to do that ever again. Like, I'm fine.
You can just teleport back out of there.
Yeah, I guess. But I like that, like, he sort of works out that, hey, every time I teleport, I'm naked. So, like, in later episodes where he knows he's going to use that power, when he, like, I'm going to teleport here, so he just leaves a bag of clothes.
He has his spare clothes. Yeah. That's smart. It's what you got to do. I don't know. Like, all I've learned from the superheroes is you don't want to be the shrinking guy.
Or the shrinking guy that sneezes and decides to do a whole lot of cocaine.
Yeah, that guy. Or the shrinking guy that gets stepped on. I think shrinking guy, Ant-Man, is like the worst thing you could possibly do. There's some weird ones out there. And they get weirder and weirder as the seasons go on. But shrinking guy it's not for me.
Yeah, if I'm going to be able to change my size, I want to go bigger, not smaller. I don't want to be the shrinking guy. I want to be the expanding guy.
Yeah, it never works out well.
In that episode, the Hero-gasm episode that you mentioned, there's some interesting abilities in that one when they first knock on the door and the guy answers the door.
In the interest of maintaining my career, no comment. No comment. If you want to watch it and see how weird it gets and you're over 18 and you go through that warning I just read out, you go nuts and watch the weird stuff that happens when you open that door. But once you open that door, you can't unsee it.
You cannot unsee it. There's a lot of things in there. But yeah, the Deep. He's such a, like, he's a good character for the story, but in terms of, like, if he was a real superhero, you're like, you are the weakest human being of all time. Like, he just can't stand up to
Oh yeah.
Homelander. He just has to be with the octopus. Tries to bring the octopus in with his girlfriend, and she's just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, but you know what? After season 1 deep, where he's like Starlight first comes in and he sexually assaults her, I love watching him suffer. It's the best. Like, you can keep suffering and having to eat octopuses that are telling you that they have a family. And I did watch that one at breakfast, though. I was watching that at breakfast, and Anne came out as I was watching it at breakfast and just looked at me and said, "How do you watch this?"
He's eating a live octopus. Yeah.
Crying, eating a live octopus who is begging for his life while everyone else tells him to. That was Anne's one thing of watching The Boys season 3.
Well, at least she saw that part, and not the shrinking guy in episode 1.
It could have been worse.
It could have been a lot worse.
Which, to say that for a show is wild. Like, it shouldn't be worse, but there's definitely worse.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned A-Train and the whole Black Lives Matter moments. What did you think of the moment where he killed Blue Hawk?
I loved the moment that he killed Blue Hawk, but the lead in, I was having a hard time of, you've done all this same stuff to people, but you didn't see, which I think gets brought back on him pretty well. Mm-hmm. With obviously the very first moment of the very first episode, he kills Huey's girlfriend at the time and explodes her, and that's your introduction to the violence of The Boys. So I really wanted justice for Blue Hawk, and he really annoyed me, which I think is exactly what he was supposed to do. But it was funny watching A-Train go through that, and obviously the impact that it had on his brother. So I enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed watching him struggle to be rebranded, but I'm glad that it's kind of come out the other side of it now.
Mm-hmm. I loved the way that he did take out Blue Hawk too. Like, it was super fitting, where it was like, he snapped, and it's just like, if I run again, I'm going to die, but I don't care. I want to just drag this guy on the road for however far it is I can run before my heart gives out, and he does that. I thought he was dead at that moment. I didn't think he was coming back.
Me too. But did you find when he was being dragged, Blue Hawk, the only issue that I have with The Boys is I don't know who's hard to kill and who isn't. Like, it's kind of just very ambiguous about this guy's invincible and this guy's invincible, but these people definitely aren't invincible. You can poke this person's eye out, or I don't know, Soldier Boy can kill this person and struggle with other people. It's just, that was the bit that the only criticism for me is that I just have a hard time of knowing which soup is a soup and which one is just a pleb soup.
Yeah, like it's hard to see which ones have the Homelander I'm hard to kill abilities, or that even like Soldier Boy has the same sort of thing. But like, there was a big hole in the final episode too, when Maeve like gives her big hero moment and tackles Soldier Boy out the window as he's about to explode, and then they fall all the way out of the building, and she somehow lives even though she no longer has her powers. Shouldn't she have died once her powers were gone, once the explosion went off?
Wasn't going to say anything because spoilers, but
if you're I'm going to put spoilers in the headline. If you haven't watched the whole season, you've stuffed by listening to this episode.
I did think that. Well, I mean, if you're going to try and use him to kill other people, didn't it happen with Kimiko? Same sort of a thing. She lost her powers.
Yeah, but she also didn't fall out of like a 30-story building.
Oh, look, maybe they landed on a jumping castle that was down the bottom. I don't know. There you go. She had a hard time. She lost an eyeball. What do you want from me? She sacrificed herself, lost an eyeball, lost her powers. That was a tough day. Yeah.
Oh, well, she's still alive. She's going to go live on a farm, and then Homelander's going to rock up looking for a cow to milk.
I did the thing on Amazon Prime where you watch the show and can read the X-ray at the same time and get all the little random details about the scenes. Mm-hmm. Just so happened to randomly be doing it during that scene. And that was actually, what was his name again? Anthony Starr doing the milking. They had to teach him how to milk cows. So
just for that one scene.
It wasn't a stunt milker. That was him actually sitting there with the Homelander gloves milking a cow. So if you need milk, ask Anthony.
That seems so unnecessary. Like,
you could have put the gloves on anyone.
Put the gloves on someone that already knows how to do it. Scene's done in 2 seconds. Nah, we're going to spend hours training this guy how to do it.
trained him how to milk, and he did it.
Yep, that was something. I feel like everybody had their moment to like improve their story and get a little bit more character growth. Like they were all growing, but yeah, they all got to grow really heaps more in this season. Like they all had little mini arcs throughout the season. And then the biggest spoiler of all was like finding out that Soldier Boy and Homelander are related. What did you think of that major twist?
Yeah, I didn't think they needed it. I think obviously if you're made in a lab, like there's various levels of related. So yeah, like it was good, but it didn't really change the storyline too much. Probably didn't need it that bad. But I guess they did need it in terms of really linking that vibe of how important it is to be near your dad. And I guess they did that through Butcher at the same time, obviously having his, I forgot the name of the guy, Mindstorm, whatever it was that made him relive his horrible memories, and they had links to family that way. But then having Ryan, the son, obviously is going to be a giant part of season 4. Yep. So I think in terms of building Ryan into the story as the big part for season 4, that's important, but I didn't think they really needed it for Soldier Boy and Homelander so much, but you can see where they're going with the story at least.
Yeah, and I thought it was like a massive like bombshell reveal. Like I said, I feel it would have been good to end the season on that, and then we didn't need like episode 8 where it was kind of the fallout of finding out that information. I would have liked that to just be part of the next season.
Yeah, I think now that we're going with all the spoilers, but the whole season I was waiting for Homelander to die. Like I thought, oh, this is it. This is the one where they're going to get him. Eventually he's going to be done. We're going to have a new supervillain or whatever it is. And even that very last episode, I thought, no, they're going to get him. Like something's going to happen and he'll die. And it just never quite came. So I felt a bit let down by that in the end.
I did like that he like finally broke too, like when he goes to see Maeve when she's locked up in the prison, and she's like so happy that like this is the greatest day in her life because she's noticing that he has a black eye and he's been hurt for the first time. She's like, this is great.
Yeah.
I don't care that I'm locked in a prison and you're threatening to impregnate me. I'm like, whatever.
Who would have thought that you could put Maeve in a truck with 2 armed guards and a doctor, and that was enough?
And that was going to be fun. Yeah.
Don't you learn it? Like you live in a universe of superheroes that murder you. Like if you're the little guys, like the usses of the world that aren't superheroes, surely you learn at some point to do it like the Russians do it and just like overkill with like freezing them or whatever it is. But the Americans, we've got 2 M16s and a little tank of gas. We'll be right.
Yeah, it's plenty. We don't need to need to Novichok the soup.
Oh, she won't blow us up and kill us.
And like we were mentioning with Homelander, Soldier Boy being related, it made me sort of question who is potentially Homelander's mum. And like,
yeah.
I would find it hilarious if it was, what was her name from last season? The Nazi lady? Stormfront?
Stormfront.
If his parents are Stormfront and Soldier Boy, and then it turns out that he was with his mum.
Don't say that. Not after the first episodes where she's a burn victim in the bed and he comes in there and
with his milk.
Again, not going to lose my job, but oh my goodness, don't let it be his mum at the same. Don't be like that.
It's the boys. It wouldn't shock me if they went that route.
What about if it was the FBI agent that is now Auntie, whatever her name is, the older one?
Oh yeah,
you can be that could also be.
Yeah, that could be something. But I feel like with like how they set up that if 2 superheroes have a superhero baby, the powers are more like insane. I feel like it kind of suggests that his mum was a superhero as well, and he kind of has elements of her abilities and Soldier Boy's. So just something I'm throwing out there.
About this show, though, well, the good thing about this show is they're so happy to throw giant plot twists in there. It could be anybody. And you could just find out all of a sudden that somebody has powers or somebody doesn't. And it just fits the story. Like the way that they drop bombshells is really good. And it keeps you going. And like I keep saying, I really love the Supernatural franchise, and I love that they're all still together and doing something that I enjoy all over again.
Yeah, like this is like a massive sort of Supernatural reunion really, with Robert Singer, Jensen, Kripke, the director and everything. Like just all of them are back together. It's pretty cool.
I'm desperate for, I've forgotten the name of the other actor, but Knuckles' sidekick on Supernatural, brother, I've forgotten his name.
What is his name? I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember his name either.
I'm desperate for him to turn up as some type of superhero.
Yes, that'd be cool. I'm trying to think what awesome. Like Marvel superheroes like or DC superheroes they haven't like got versions of yet that they could like bring in. I'm thinking like they need a I guess Kimiko's kind of a Wolverine-esque one, but
they need just in interest of Seth Rogen, they need to do like was he the real bad one was the Green Hornet?
Yeah.
I just put a rubbish one in there that just throws back to that movie that was terrible.
Yeah,
they haven't done like a Green Lantern, like someone that just produces weird things.
Yeah, that'll be another cool one. Like, yeah, with like Deadpool, Black Noir, they're kind of the same thing.
They're almost exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I guess like a Captain Marvel, Green Arrow, Green Hornet thing type would be pretty cool.
They haven't done really like a Spider-Man-esque sort of a thing, like a linked to an animal, other than beef, but that's more Aquaman.
Yeah, yes, a Spider-Man one would be really cool. Or a Doctor Strange, like a magician one.
You know how I feel about Doctor Strange? We do not talk about Doctor
Strange. We mentioned Ashley pulling her hair out. What did you think of her and she gets her assistant Ashley as well?
I liked it. I thought it was funny. I really enjoyed watching her come into her own, and like when the best part when you see her click and go into her own like bravado character, but when she's copied Homelander's hit on her and then started just all the people underneath her hammering them like she was Homelander, and I thought that was really, really funny. But obviously it takes its toll on her, pulling all of her entire head of hair out. But when she did it and it scared A-Train and he just walked out and gave up, like I thought it was really, really funny.
Yeah, I love that moment where she finally like stands up to one of them. But yeah, every time like she was talking to her assistant and she was like, "What are you doing, Ashley?" And the other Ashley was like, "I'm just doing what you're doing, Ashley." And it's like every time I was like, "Oh my God, this is so ridiculous," but it works. What are you sort of predicting for season 4 in terms of what happens with the boys as the group, Homelander and his son? Obviously Soldier Boy is still around, and then we've got Victoria Newman now set up as potential vice president of the US.
Yeah, that would be a big one. I think like I said, I think the son Ryan being part of it and him being manipulated into being the new evil Homelander and how that'll impact Butcher, I think it's going to be the big storyline, and you can see him definitely having the big moments where he'll probably have a chance to kill Homelander and being stopped by Ryan a few times and things like that. I did like that the gang of the boys has grown bigger and that Starlight's thrown her Starlight costume into the trash, as much as it pains me because #1 Starlight fan, but seeing her join them and actually be on board with them, I think is good. Because I do think that storyline got a bit old at the end, that Huey was having to hide things from her, or they were trying to achieve the same goal but separately. Got a bit frustrating for me at the end, that they were both trying to take down Homelander differently. So it'll be nice to see them on the same page. Yeah, and I'm excited to see where they take the Homelander and Soldier Boy situation, whether they team up or stay separate. Will be interesting. So yeah, I'm excited for season 4. Like they obviously get the budget now to be able to do all the visual effects and stuff that they have. They're not scared to do crazy things, and they have the R18 rating, so they can pretty much do anything they want. And I think season 3, they did a big effort of proving that to everybody, because I don't think you could have got any weirder or crazier or more nudity or violence than you've ever seen on a television as much as season 3. So they've left themselves a big scope of craziness and plot twists and ways they can take it. So I'm looking forward to it coming out.
Yeah, apparently it is slightly toned down from the comics, but it's still pretty out there. I'm interested to see, like you said, what happens with Ryan. Like, obviously in that final sequence where Homelander flies down and to his essentially "Make America Great Again" type rally with like it even had like the Capitol building rioters, like the dude with the moose head thing in the crowd, which I giggled at. And then like when Homelander snaps and just like laser beams that dude's head, and then like we said, Ryan MM's daughter's stepdad like freaks out, but then cheers. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like you just watched him murder a guy and now you're happy about it. And I think Ryan getting to see that, like you see him like give that sort of smirk smile at the end where it's like,
yeah,
yep, he's officially bad now because he thinks he can just do whatever he wants and there's going to be no consequences. Like you can murder people and they're just going to be like, oh yeah, you're Homelander's son. That's cool. Like I think he's going to have a major part. I don't know whether like he's going to team up with Homelander or in the end if somehow Butcher can bring him back from the brink and Ryan ends up being the one that takes out Homelander would be a cool like full circle moment.
Yeah, that's definitely what I think will happen. That definitely got to me as well. The moment where he blows that guy's head up and Ryan from Wednesday would have screamed and cried, but now it's Ryan on Friday and he's totally fine with it. Just shows that he's in that circle of manipulation and he's becoming more and more evil. But I do think he's going to have that situation there. Almost like the Luke Skywalker situation of like come to the dark side, but decides to be good. And I think we'll take out Darth Vader, Homelander at the end. But I hope that'd be a good story. That'd be a good way to take him down. My only concern, like I said earlier, is this: there's only so much you can take of season after season of just I hope they get him and they don't, and then I hope they get him and they don't, and I hope they get him and they don't. I hope eventually they get him. I know they'll make it worthwhile when they do, but I hope that they bring that storyline to an end at some point.
Yeah, I guess it is hard when he's like one of the most compelling characters on the show as well and one of the best acted.
Yeah, but it's like any story. Like if you just watch Batman movies over and over and over and it was always the Joker, you just wouldn't be into the same movie every single time. Or if Spider-Man only fought Dr. Octopus every single time, you'd just be like, okay, we get it. You're good, you're bad. Just someone work it out. I'll just chuck you both away and we'll just move on without you.
Mm-hmm. I did like that they're kind of setting up Victoria Newman as a major threat as well, like with the way that she becomes the vice president, like getting deep to take out the original candidate for vice president by like just hiding in the guy's pool. I was like, that's actually a good way to use his abilities. Like, not good in terms of the outcome, but
I wanted obviously you see him in a pool and you go, okay, Deep's going to do something. I thought he could have just chucked an octopus in there or something to get the guy for, like, out of all the deaths, Deep finally got to take one, and all it was him just grabbing somebody.
Grabbed someone's foot and held him underwater.
That was the limit of it. It was that. Like, surely you can do, you explode people from the inside out on this show. We don't just do this. Like, the special effects budget.
Octopus on the face or something.
Special effects at that point, they'd spent all their money on the hero-gasm scene and they just had to have him just sink.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense, but yeah. I think like Victoria now being as the vice president nominee, I think that's going to be a big moment where my prediction is that we're going to get like this big speech from the president, like he's just been elected, and because she has the ability to just like pop people's heads, she's just going to be standing in the wings on the stage next to him, all happy-go-lucky cheering, and then his head's going to pop and she's going to be like, oh, well, I guess I'm now the president, and then that's going to cause all sorts of issues.
Yeah, she's a good example of a character that they do that plot twist with, that you don't know they're a soup and then they do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in this season was a really good plot twist, and it shows that they're willing to do that with all those sort of in-between characters can all of a sudden become a huge threat. But yeah, I think that she'll probably do things like that, or even if it's just popping the heads of people that are against them, but no one knowing that she's doing it. And again, I really like the presidential candidate. What do they call him? The boy from somewhere. The Dakota guy.
Yeah,
anyway,
something like
Bobby
that.
Singer. I love that Bobby Singer is still running as Bobby Singer himself in another one of his shows that previously he was Bobby Singer in Supernatural, and now he's the new Trump, like, and he's just running as himself. So like, I love the #1 presidential candidate. It'll be funny when he blows his own head up, but yeah, I love that he's running as Bobby Singer again in another show.
I'm a little bit like with Victoria's abilities. Like I feel like in the opening episode where we learn that she's the one with the abilities, and Huey learns that as well. Like, does she have to be looking at the person to pop their head? Because like when that guy, she is killing that guy in the alleyway, he like tries to like push her head away so she can't like look at him, and then his eye like swells up and pops, and like that goes first, and then that makes him recoil, and then she looks at him and his whole head goes. I was like, so does she have to be like looking at the person when it happens? So she has to obviously be in the room, which is why I think she'll have to be on the stage if she's going to take out the president.
Yeah, I guess so. You looked at it a lot more intensely than I looked at it. I was like, oh my God, that guy's
that guy's eyes popping out of his head.
You're like, whoa, that was only one eyeball. Yeah, I guess so. And that's another time where I think that whole ambiguity thing happened, where she was looking at Starlight and did the same thing. And I was like, surely she can't just pop Starlight's head. Like that's a super head.
I guess she probably. I guess she could have, but
can she pop Homelander's head?
Yeah, that's also another thing. Like, if he gets too big, can she just be like, "See ya"?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, how many heads can you pop?
Yeah, well, guess we'll find out in season 4.
Look, call it now. I wouldn't be surprised if Singer, as the presidential candidate, is a soup himself as well. Someone else is going to be, guaranteed.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. I wonder if Butcher takes like permanent V, because if he doesn't, his brain's just going to leak out of his nose.
He's due to die.
Mm-hmm. So lots of cool stuff. One other little like random fact that I learned this season. Do you know who Jack Quaid, who plays Huey, who his parents are?
No.
Dennis Quaid, obviously, and his mum is Meg Ryan.
Right. Going back to Top Gun, where was Meg Ryan?
Yeah, I had no idea that he was related to her.
Yeah, right. Wow, that makes you really feel old that Meg Ryan was his mum and he is now that old.
Yeah, weird.
Good lineage.
Yeah. I saw him on a podcast talking about like he went to see Top Gun Maverick, and he was just like, that was the weirdest experience watching that movie, because like there's the sequences where Meg Ryan like flashes in and has little flashback scenes, and he's like, the weirdest experience. You go to see a movie and then suddenly, oh, there's your mum. I was like, whoa. I was like, yeah, that'd be so weird.
Sorry,
like
mate.
Just watching a movie and then your mum pops up. You're like, oh, hang on.
If your mum is Meg Ryan, that is not the first time that has happened to you.
Yeah, but most of the time you go to watch a movie that she's in, you know she's going to be in it pretty often. It's not like suddenly bursts of your mum.
Yeah, you know if it's Top Gun. It'd be weird if your mum popped up on there or my mum popped up on there. But if your mum's Meg Ryan and was on the original, you can't be like, oh my God, that's right.
Well, that's right. Mum's in this movie.
You've watched it heaps of times.
What else did we get? Like we mentioned, season 4. It's been renewed for season 4, but they also have another spin-off series coming next year as well.
Right, okay. What's the spin-off?
So it's called The Boys Presents Varsity, and it's all about young adult soups being tested in a Hunger Games style challenge system, like to, I guess, like earn their way onto like superhero teams, I imagine, kind of like a play on like the American Idol thing that we get in this show, but like this one's obviously going to be like training and testing. So I'm interested to see that one. Did you watch the animated spin-off as well?
No, I didn't. I was going to say that. I saw that it popped up, but it's one of those things that I don't want to. I never was a big person for watching the like the Clone Wars and stuff for Star Wars either. Like I like the originals. I'm very hesitant to watch spin-offs because I get worried that it's going to ruin my opinion of the big main franchise.
Yep. I feel like this Varsity spin-off, I think that's going to be more in tune with canon, whereas the Diabolical one, I think of the episodes, I think there's like 6 episodes or something. Of all of those, only one of them is like directly connected to the boys' main storyline. So like all the others are kind of like the what if Marvel show where they're kind of, what if there was this type of superhero, or what if this happened instead? And only one of them actually ties back in. But I think this new spin-off that's coming is going to be in canon, in universe. So that'll probably make me more compelled to watch it.
Okay. And again on Prime?
Yep.
That's good.
So yeah, looking forward to that. And the last bit of trivia I saw, season 2 of The Boys reached number 3 in the Nielsen ratings, making it the first non-Netflix show to make it into the top 10 streaming list.
Is that the Nielsen rating?
Yep.
I've never heard of that before.
So yeah, it's just like basically like a chart that ranks like how well and how popular shows are, and they have a list, and yeah, The Boys is the first non-Netflix show to make it into the top 10, which is pretty crazy.
And that's again what I'm saying. It's crazy that it's that good and it's that widely watched, but I have felt like I'm the only person out there advertising for them, telling like all of our best mates, like, get on Amazon Prime. It's worth it. I said to people, it's worth getting Amazon Prime just to be able to watch The Boys. And especially if you haven't started it, you've now got 3 seasons of just chaotic superhero life to just get on board with. Like, crazy that it's not supported more. What do you know what the first 2 were?
Stranger Things was definitely right up there. I can't remember what the others were.
That'll be one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Stranger Things and like maybe Ozark were like right up there, but
those things are always like Stranger Things. You go into like Peter Alexander and you go in the shops and it's like Stranger Things pajamas and Stranger Things shirts at like Rip Curl, and you're like, they're like crazy over marketed to get to where they're at. If The Boys is like number 3 and has no marketing or less marketing, then it's a really, really good show.
I guess like I can see why they can't market it super heavily, because there's a lot of this show that like the big moments aren't things you can put in a TV ad and put on TV at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
They aren't, but I mean, I think you could do some YouTube ads or anything, and just even if you just did the Kendall Jenner A-Train spin-off, that's enough to get people laughing at it and in. And they're clever. Like, that's Seth Rogen. Like, he knows the line and he loves to cross it, but he's also not stupid enough to create an ad that he couldn't put out. Like, he's definitely smart enough to make a funny ad with innuendo or whatever that meets a rating criteria that gets people in. I think the hard thing for The Boys on the outside, for me, I was just somebody that I saw it for so long and never clicked on it. And it's just that we live in a world right now that's so overpopulated with superheroes that you could, and without getting any context that it's different.
Yeah, you expect run of the mill
superhero. Yeah, it's just an American superhero thing. He's got an American flag as a cape. Like, I don't want to watch that. And then you click on it and you go, that is not what I thought it was.
Yeah, that is not Marvel. Like, it kind of,
and I think
you look at it and you just think, okay, this is just knockoff Marvel with no big name superheroes that I know. So why would I bother?
And no offense to Amazon, but a lot of the time it's one of those streaming services. The reason Netflix gets those ratings is because Netflix has all the quality stuff and it had an early market on it. But Amazon, a lot of the time they have really good diamonds in the rough, and then they just fill out the menus with just the weekly rentals from Video Easy, just stuff that you never ever click on. So it's really hard to go on there and look at something they've created and go, that's just another, like, not just another weekly. So I think if they did more and propped it up on just, this is why it's different, this is why it's funny, and maybe just click on it. I think once somebody clicks on it, someone in, especially our demographic, obviously, that we're not afraid to see things that are violent and crazy and we can laugh at them, then yeah, it could be bigger than it is, 100%.
Yeah, I think you just got to get people to get through that first episode. And once the A-Train Huey's girlfriend moment happens,
exploding,
you're either totally in or you're switching off straight away. There's no in-betweens, but I don't know. I really enjoy it. Have you watched the other Amazon show, Invincible? The like cartoon superhero show?
No.
Okay. You need to watch that, because if you love The Boys this much, Invincible is very similar. Crazy superheroes that are insane. Like Omni-Man is pretty much Homelander.
Okay.
So yeah, watch that.
Yeah,
I think
like
you really
that.
enjoy that.
I like that it's something
And it's
different,
another
but
Seth
that's what I'm
Rogen.
saying. Yeah, he's funny. I've done his book. Like I think we've talked about before. Yearbook, his book, and the stories from his life. He's just a naturally very funny and genuine human, and I think it just shows when he makes things.
Yep. Yeah. So watch Invincible, but yeah, The Boys. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Catch up. Season 4, hopefully late next year, but I don't know, probably 2024. I think we'll get Varsity as the fill-in, and then the next year we'll get The Boys season 4.
Ready for it.
And then the other show that you recommended to me, big change of pace.
Sorry.
Very big change of pace. Netflix, new documentary series, Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, which is all about the polygamous Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Wow. That was rough watching.
That's the only one-word comment you have for it, isn't it? That's all I can think too. Wow. It's like this is something that you wish was happening in the Boys universe, but happened in our universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like so crazy that you're like, this can't be real. And then, yeah, it was. Warren Jeffs, what a psychopath. Well, yeah, just weird.
I'd like to give people a rundown of it. Warren Jeffs being the prophet that they had, the people that they believed in they're Mormon, just outside of Salt Lake City in Utah, which if you've ever watched the Book of Mormon, the guys from South Park made, it's a big part of that, obviously. But yeah, they had a quite widespread, large cult in there. There are numbers and numbers with the theory that they told, especially young girls, just to keep sweet. And they had it written on everything just to not question the men, just keep sweet what you're told. Don't think, just be what we tell you to be. And then as we've seen so many times with these sorts of things, I think it's just people take advantage of those situations. They end up with multiple wives, multiple daughters. There was guys doing creepy things like trading daughters with another man. So then that daughter, once you send her off, can become that guy's wife. And you take the daughter from the other guy as a wife. They said they had one thing where it was like,
even if they're only like 15, 16, 17, like,
yeah, even less. Yeah. And they had one where the original prophet, Warren Jeff's dad, had a line of like 60 women outside his door. He's like 70 on his deathbed, and he's got 14-year-old girls outside as his wives waiting to kiss him goodnight, and him trying to work out who he wanted to like sleep with and things. It was really quite heartbreaking. Mind-blowing and heartbreaking is probably the two words I'd describe it. It was, I'd hate to liken it, but it's like a car accident viewing. It's so bad that you can't not look at it, and you want to know what happens next. Particularly with it being, I don't know for you, but particularly with it being a recent time for me. Like most of these things that you watch on Netflix, and it's the older serial killer situations, you look at it and you think, oh yeah, but that was 1974. Like that's totally fine. And this one happened in like 2011. I think at one stage they said Warren Jeffs was the only man that was non-Islamic when they were fighting ISIS or whatever, at the top
on the
of
FBI.
the FBI's most wanted list.
Yeah.
He's the one guy that's sticking out on it. It's just really heavy, really wild. And I don't know, like it gets me when you watch cult stuff to think that like these people must be so crazy. Like how could you ever believe that? But then when you see that they're brought up in that situation, it's all they've ever known, and they get so pumped full of propaganda, I guess, that terrifies them about the outside world, or even vice versa, that we look down on those people thinking what idiots. But it's really hard to judge them without being in their shoes.
Yeah, like you said, like because it's so modern, you're like, how are these people like just not on the internet and not understanding that this is all really crazy and weird? But I guess they don't really have access to the internet. They wake up, they do their morning prayers, they go to school where it's all very secular and about the Bible and the teachings of the Jeffs, and it's just, yeah, pretty insane stuff. I did like that they interviewed a bunch of like the women that basically had enough and escaped, which is apparently really hard to do. And then I think because the director, Rachel Dretson, is a woman, I think that probably helped the series as well, because I imagine it allowed those women to sort of feel a little bit more comfortable telling their stories and opening up about some of the things that happened to them.
Yeah, like I think everyone in there is obviously a victim of that, but they're definitely the women and the girls are just, it's such a horrible situation. And obviously the more you watch on, the worse it gets. Like every episode I found myself thinking, I can't remember how many, maybe 5 episodes, but every single episode I kind of found myself sitting there going, it can't get worse than that. And the next episode, it gets so much worse. I mean, it got to a point where he moved all of them away because he said the judgment day was coming, whatever. Moved them all, makes them build a new town, and then goes, when judgment day doesn't come on the day it was supposed to come, said, oh, no. God just said, you did good. He gave you a little bit more time. And everyone still believes, moves back to the other place. I think it can't get worse than that. And then the guy ends up with like 80 wives, 60 daughters. I think the kids all get taken away from families, which is obviously, I don't envy the child services in Utah at the time, because I don't think leaving them there was the right thing to do. But I also don't think they ever had a chance when they took so many kids away. It's just, it was chaos. But to see him finally be brought to justice for what he was doing, I think it was nice to see him finally get arrested. I mean, and the bit that always gets me is the hypocrisy of them, that people buy into the things that these guys say. And obviously coming from, both of us coming from Nowra originally, it's funny because I watched it with Anne, my wife, who's from Sydney. And I was like, it was weird to me growing up because we had a cult in our town.
Yep.
And I thought everybody just had a cult. I thought I was like,
everyone has a weird church in their town.
Yeah. This is the library. This is the Woolworths. This is the cinema. This is our cult. Like, I thought everybody just had that. And I was like, blew my mind to know that that's not normal. Like, we had that situation. And I remember thinking, because we had people come to school with us that were from there, that I thought, how could they do that? But then when you start to have, I guess, more of an adult mindset about it, like, they had no choice. And these girls just got thrown into some really bad situations. And the guy ends up running away from them, stealing their money, going to Disneyland and strip clubs. I mean, you can't be a fundamentalist religious
Mormon,
person spend your money at a strip club. Like,
especially,
it doesn't
like,
fit together.
The amount of money he was spending too, like hundreds of thousands of dollars a week was getting delivered to him in bags of groceries, essentially. And
soup cans.
Yeah, they were stuffing it into soup cans, like, just nuts.
Yeah, it sucks that people, it's always, it seems to me in these stories, and when it's real world stories, that the good people, it's like nice guys finish last, like the good people and the innocent people are the ones that get stepped on by these people. And it's nice to see them come to justice. But then even after he's in prison, he's still managing
running the church.
He teach his religion out of prison. Like, it's wild that the lengths these people go to. I guess, I don't know, scares, the idea of moving suburbs scares me. So I can only imagine how scary and how hard it must be to leave something like that. So the women that have done it, it must be just such strong people. It's just incredible that they made it out of there and are living normal lives after being through such a thing. Like, it's so nasty. It was really nice to see at the end. Nice, not probably not nice, but it was really good to see at the end, and almost a little bit comical to me that he just kept all this. He was so arrogant that he kept all the evidence that condemned him.
Just in a room.
Like hard drives of evidence against himself in a room. And I think at the same time, I mean, like, I watched it with Anne, my wife, and it's not a light watch. Like, it's not something that you can, out of all the true crime documentaries that I've seen, I think it's probably like me in horror movies a little bit, but as far as true crime goes, I don't want to say like it's easier to watch people that have just been adults and murdered, but when you watch this, when you hear the video, the tape recording of a young
that tape
girl
in the
being
last episode,
being manipulated into sleeping with a man that is like, she's like 13, 14, and he is like 50 something, and you hear him manipulating her into that. That was something that I know made her feel physically ill. It was something that was really hard to even just listen to. But that is just what goes to show you that these people, for someone to put their daughter into that and believe that that is the right thing to do, it's crazy the power these people have over other people.
Just like even the way that he sort of rose to power too, when his dad passed away, he kind of assumed the mantle as the prophet, remarried all of his dad's wives, which was super weird. Like, what are you doing? Creepy. And then, yeah, like when he sets up that new town in Texas and essentially just kidnaps all of the young girls from the town in Utah and takes them in the middle of the night to across the country.
Zion.
Like,
yeah, what do you call it? Zion.
Yeah, it's just like, what the hell? And yet, I was glad to see that he was convicted of sexual assault and conspiracy to commit misconduct with a minor, which was nuts. As you said, placed on the FBI most wanted list with a $100,000 reward. Seems a little bit low. Maybe a little bit low for what he did.
It was what he was spending each week nearly.
And yeah, his brother was also convicted of harboring a fugitive when he was stopped with $150,000 of cash in his just car in soup cans, as you mentioned, to be delivered. And then even the way that he was caught in the end, how like unceremonious and plain of a way to get busted. They just pull him over to check the car and he's just sitting in the back seat. Like, oh, guess what? You're under arrest.
Yeah, like he deserved much, 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 much worse. Like, just of all the thing for me is like, I think that me being a quite non-religious person at heart, and just my whole life philosophy, I guess, is just try and do good for people and be good to people and leave the world a better place than you found it. And I think most religions at their core have that vibe, that you should be a good person. And just for him to be pretending to be a good person and be literally the worst human you can be, he deserves so much worse than he got. I hope, I don't know, but I hope that those cops put the boot into him. I'm not for police brutality in most situations.
But for someone like that.
You deserve so much worse than you've got it. Like, the things that he would have done for people, and the hard thing to hear in the list of charges is there'd be so many people out there behind that closed wall that would be getting away with things, and that he would have got away with a lot more than that. That's just the stuff that they could prove. So, yeah, I hope he rots in there, to be honest with you. And it was a really hard watch, but like I said, it was really hard to not look at. Like, it was a well-made, depressing documentary series.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I think most of the people in that church are obviously trying to do good by their community, and like all of the like business owners, like they all basically give ownership of their business to the church to help them have more money to build more houses for the community or provide for the community. But that all just fed up into him as like this crazy hectic pyramid scheme where they were using the boys if the town is basically free labor, and then the girls
like
were just
slave labor, and
the girls were basically just being traded around. Like, it was just nuts.
Yeah, tough and crazy. Like I keep saying, crazy to think that it happened in our time. Like, you're like, no, it wouldn't happen in 2020, but it's probably happening somewhere right now.
Yeah, well, the FLDS still exists. They have an estimated 6,000 to 10,000 members still. And they still see Warren Jeffs as their leader, which is like, how? Like, how? He's in prison until 2038, and they're still like,
but
he's the guy.
Saying that, the guy from Nowra is supposed to come back too.
Oh, God. Jesus.
Enjoy that.
And then, like, as with all documentaries, like, it's obviously very focused on one specific angle. But I read that not included in the documentary was another allegation against Warren Jeffs by his nephew, who claims that in 2004, Warren raped him. So it wasn't just against the girls in the town. But yeah, just insane. And then after watching this, I got suggested another documentary on Netflix Our Father, did you end up watching that one as well?
I have watched that one. I watched it before that one. Is that the guy that artificially
Yes.
inseminates women in
Yeah.
the pregnancy clinic, and they found hundreds and hundreds of these people, man, they're everywhere.
Like, I just like, thanks Netflix. I needed to be suggested that. I kind of wish I'd not fallen for it. Damn Netflix and their great recommendations of like, hey, you like this, maybe you'll like this, and then you click on it, you're like, oh geez, that was another depressing watch that I didn't need to endure.
But mind blowing that guy got away with it too, or that had hundreds and hundreds of kids and would trick these families, and it just goes to show you that there's people that would take that power anywhere. Like it's really sad to have to think like that, but it kind of puts you on your toes a little bit, that you need to really be a bit more sort of picky in the people that you choose to be around, and obviously be led by and influenced by, that you don't just take them at face value. I like to think that us as a generation are a lot better at sort of reading through the crap and seeing through the crap. And I hope that we're probably a bit better than the last generation. So obviously being brought up on the internet, you've had a lot more fake news and stuff to actually deal with. Because I always think that, like, my mum is one of those people that posts, you know, when you get like crazy things on Facebook and it's like,
yep,
we can't say Merry Christmas anymore. They're going to take our Merry Christmas away. And I'm like, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
This is just some fake share thing. Like, it's fine. No one's going to climb through your computer and get you at 12 at night if you don't share it with 30 people. Like, you're going to be okay. But hopefully for watching these things at least, and for our generation, I like to think that we, as bad as it is, you need to be a little bit more distrusting until someone's really earned that from you.
And like, even with like the developments with the Supreme Court in the US recently, like, I feel like these documentaries really highlight the need to update the laws and make sure that people are protected. Like, women need to have as many options as they have, because there's crazy doctors out there inseminating people with their own sperm, and there's church leaders who are sleeping with everyone in the church. Like, we need to make sure that all of this stuff is, the laws aren't ambiguous, because like Warren Jeffs, one of his convictions was overturned on appeal, and it's like, no, we need to make sure these people aren't getting away with this stuff by crazy technicalities and loopholes.
Yeah, 100%.
So in terms of top recommendations for the week, which one of those would you go with? Depends what mood you're in, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, not to take away from everything, like, Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey is a very hard watch. We said is might be an important watch for some people, and something that people might get something out of, but go into that obviously with the mindset of this is quite triggering potentially. But as far as I was going to say wholesome, it's not wholesome. As far as a
entertaining, at least The Boys is entertaining.
Yeah, entertaining, a bit funny, as long as you can laugh at gore and all the crazy stuff they come out with. Yeah, The Boys season 3, and if you haven't got Amazon Prime, definitely worth the $7 or whatever it is just to do that and catch up on The Boys for 3 seasons. So yeah, it's got to be The Boys.
Yeah, you get all this cool content with The Boys and Invincible and the Test, all the older shows that they have. You also get free shipping. Great bonus.
No, you do.
It's a Prime Day this week, so you'll get some good bargains. Get Amazon Prime. Use my code.
Yep.
So yeah, I picked The Boys as well, just because it's entertaining. Like, you can kind of switch off and watch that and just have a good time. You don't need to be worried about, am I going to leave this depressed?
No, exactly. But just don't watch it with your wife.
And maybe don't watch it eating seafood or breakfast.
I'll never look at seafood the same.
You don't want to eat a live octopus as it begs for mercy?
Not something that I've ever wanted to do, but particularly now, no.
Alrighty, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow me on social media at JamieUpsMedia and at Pario Magazine. And you can follow Buddy on Instagram at a.b_csee.
Thank you.
The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Apps Media. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Brian and June Hart, Blake Robinson, Rena Renee, Courtney Paulson, Darren Hatcliffe, Jackson Carr, and Tracy Apps.